This episode of the Totally Rad Show is brought to you by Medal of Honor. Step up to Tier 1. Coming up on today's TRS, we take a look at Star Wars The Force Unleashed 2.
Hello everybody and welcome to the Totally Rad Show for Monday, November 1st. We got a huge week. Today we're starting out talking about Force Unleashed 2. Tuesday, we're going to be talking about the Fallout New Vegas.
Yeah, so
situation.
two big video games right to start the week.
Back to back to back.
And then Wednesday, we've got Media Mashup, the game that everybody seemed to really love, including us.
I'm very excited to be playing that again. Yeah?
And then Thursday is Megamind.
That is correct. And then Friday we're doing something which has been, people have been asking for many, many moons.
Pretty much since we started.
Since the first moon. But thanks to HP, we're actually going to bring you our first music segment.
What?
Talking about sort of our personal histories with music, some of our favorite stuff, and sort of tentpole moments throughout our history of life.
And all week long, we got this awesome background that you're checking out. It's kind of Inception inspired, but we loved it so much we had to use it, even though there's nothing really Inception-y about our
That's good.
week.
Evan Kang sent that in.
Yes, thank you, Evan. And if you want to send a background, send it to fans@totallyradshow.com. We need more of those. They look awesome. We love them.
Correct, Amundo. Let's get into the shindondo. I tried to make it rhyme.
Star Wars The Force Unleashed franchise is all about giving you all the powers of a Jedi, or in this case, a dark Jedi, and letting you run rampant with them. The first game utilized a brand new mix of several different physics systems that let the powers affect environment in a way that I don't think any game really has even approached. Different types of materials behaved in different ways. You were able to really kind of mess with the environment like a giant sandbox, throwing stormtroopers hither and yon, making stuff bend and explode with force push and all kinds of stuff. It tells the story of Darth Vader's dark apprentice and his struggles with kind of deciding whether he's going to be a dark Jedi or a light Jedi. This second game picks up that story and makes it way more convoluted. Now it's, is he a clone? Is he not a clone? There's still...
Can you clone a Jedi?
Can you? Exactly.
Yeah.
So, Star Wars Force Unleashed 2, Daniel, tell me what you think of it.
I actually really liked Star Wars Force Unleashed 2. I had read so many negative things leading up to its release that, and maybe that's why I liked it, because my enthusiasm was curbed a little bit.
Right.
I didn't really remember the first game's story, but I remembered loving it. I
think we all spoke about it being something that we wished that the episode 1 had been. Because it's kind of like he finds this young child and he molds him into a dark Jedi, and it's like, well, that could have been Anakin's story.
But I was okay with the story. I didn't hate it. You're right. Maybe it is a little convoluted, but it was also way less convoluted than most video game stories. It's still a very cinematic story.
Really?
I think so,
Also
yes.
way less convoluted than most of the Star Wars movies.
Right. Absolutely.
I don't agree with that at all, but
Well, there's very little politics going on in it. It's convoluted just in that there's a clone, but I don't think that's really that convoluted. The gameplay is so fun. It's just so darn fun. Every individual thing you can do in this game, make a guy go crazy, commit suicide, make him fight other people, that's awesome. Pushing people's awesome, lightning people's awesome, lightsaber is awesome. Individually, awesome. Together, you can do a little this, you can do a little lightsaber and then push someone, you can push someone, then do lightsaber on them, you can make them go crazy and fight the people while you lift this object and throw it in. There's like a million different combinations that you can do at any given time that are really fun and challenging and cool. So like it's kind of an awesome collage there. My only issue is the scope of the game. You don't really, for a Star Wars game where you're like, you go to this planet, you go to that planet, and you don't really, you kind of hang out in the same general area for most of the game, and it all kind of looks...
Which is very different from the first game,
Right.
where you were all over the place.
Exactly. What's interesting about it, this is sort of a philosophical thing I raise, is that that's been my problem with most video games, is that a movie, this being so focused in scope is much more cinematic. Most movies, there's generally like one thing you need. Even The Matrix feels like a huge movie. It's a very simple thing that he's got to do. There's just a bunch of hurdles along the way. Like nothing when you really look, when you break down the plots of these big movies, even the first Star Wars, there's very little that they actually do. Yet there's these hurdles along the way. While most video games, there's like a million things along the way.
Well, that's because you're doing. You're a guy who does.
You have to spend time, like, you have to spend hours doing things.
Yeah.
Whereas this game, a shorter game, had a much more cinematic scope, yet I didn't enjoy it. I wanted more. But a lot of times I play video games, I'm like, I'm too much. Like, I want the story to be more condensed.
Interesting.
Alex, Star Wars fan?
Yeah.
Fan of the Force?
I was a fan of all of those things. Unleashing it.
Yeah.
On
Lightsaber
people,
aficionado?
have been known to be.
By lightsaber, you mean?
Lightsaber. I make them.
Oh, yeah.
And,
Really? That's what you were going with?
Jedi chips.
I don't think you have the right to disapprove of any comment like that from
Here's
now
the
on.
thing. So this game really, in my opinion, really does scratch all the itches that I have.
You have a lot of itches.
And wanting gameplay stuff. Amazing leveling mechanic where you can choose to level specifically things. Like, do you choose to level, just your Force Lightning all the way up? That'll take a while. Or do you level everything to level 2 and then wait on the level 3s? But then also they added in, which I don't remember being in the last game, the lightsaber crystals.
It was in the last game.
It was in the last game? Well, in that case, I'm happy it was in the last game.
You didn't have two lightsabers last time, so you didn't have
only the one option,
Yeah.
rather than dual wielding like extra XP and extra health or whatever it is. So I had a blast, and again, I mean, the gameplay mechanic is awesome. I didn't have a problem with the story, but I also had heard that there were sort of these, everybody wasn't loving on it as much as we did on the first one, so I kind of had this sort of like, oh, I wonder what they did to screw this one up, and then while I was playing it, I was like, maybe I missed what it was that they did to screw this one up, because this is really fun. My only issue I had with the game was, I thought that the buttons were very unresponsive.
Maybe that's your controller.
No, I mean, not like the lag between, but I felt like I would turn and there'd be, it was especially with like the force grab, I would turn, I would see the thing highlighted and I would jam on the force thing, and then it wouldn't take. And so I'd have to like wait take a beat, then I'd hit the button, and then I could mash on the buttons and keep it going in the rhythm.
I don't think that's the buttons. I had the same problem with that specific move, the force grip thing.
Yeah.
Was the highlighting of things was never. I always like missed the highlight. And
Well, for me,
that was a little bit.
But it also worked a little bit with like lightning, where I'd like quickly. It was all about like quickly acquiring a target. Once I had the target, it would flow easily between the different things. But zipping to a target, and it was always like the initial thing that I wanted to do, I'd always have to hit the button twice. Like I would always have to go, force lightning, then I would do it.
Yeah.
It was a minor thing because I got over it pretty easily, but I had a blast.
I'm gonna be the negative Nancy on this one.
Please.
I was enormously disappointed by this game. I was a big fan of the first one, really loved it, and I think this one ruined the franchise for me. First of all, didn't care for the story, as we've talked about already, and I'm gonna be exactly the opposite of what you said. I thought in the first game it was wonderful how many options I had at any given moment, and this game removed those by having enemies that were specific to certain types of damage. So there's an enemy that runs at you and you can't use any force powers on it, you can only use swords, or the other way around. So you're restricted in the options that you have. There's almost always one way to kill an enemy that is the right way. There's, the ATST shoots its missile at you, you should probably grab it and throw it back. You can run up and attack it with your lightsabers, but the most effective way is this one way. So it became this rote, like, I see that, I do this. I see that, I do this, rather than a giant playground, which is what the first game was. Also, it seemed like, I know in the first game had QTE sequences as well, but It seemed like there was a lot more QTE. It felt like this game was very much trying to lift from God of War, much more than the first one.
There is an epic moment.
That's just
that was
so
straight
God
out
of
God.
War.
It was straight out of God of War,
Yeah.
but it was awesome.
But it was just all QTE, and they rely on that like diving down, plummeting toward Earth thing over and over rather than just using it once or twice. In the first game, I criticized the use of there's a great moment where you make a Star Destroyer crash, which is sort of their poster moment.
Yeah.
And it was really clumsy how that happened. In this, you do similar stuff, and it's just hit B or hit X. It just removes it and becomes a QTE, which is like a really, I thought, false way of making it easier. It just becomes binary and not as interesting. I found the whole game less interesting, and the environments are less interesting. The battles are less interesting. The leveling mechanic is less interesting. Everything is a step back from what I thought was a really solid first game. The only thing that's a step forward, I think, is the fact that it didn't have any of the technical issues of the first game, where there's none of that screen tearing, none of the frame rate problems that the first game was victim to.
Well, maybe they'll take this and move forward, and the Force Unleashed 3 will take in all these negative comments, add in the stuff that was good from the first one.
I hope so.
You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
I think
it's
they
a
can
really
only...
short game. It's like I was frustrated by the final battle, which was really just tedious.
Yeah.
And there's this long platforming section at the end that is just like arbitrary platforming section.
Yeah.
I just felt it felt rushed and poorly designed. So
Well, maybe Force Unleashed 3.
yeah, I'm
they
hoping.
make
Although I
one.
heard a rumor that they might be canceling that, but
I know that some people had specific things to do that can affect them, but when they throw, which is like in most combat games, you have like the slow big guy. I mean, like even in the one we just
like
did,
jetpack guy,
Enslaved.
shoot him with lightning.
Right.
No, I brain
But
them.
you get
That's the best thing. The 4 jetpack guys, brain the 2 of
Right,
them,
yeah.
go deal with everything else, and then as soon as you start getting shot in the back, turn around, brain the other 2.
I didn't try that, but
Yeah, I used a lot of
that's-
mind.
I love that.
Trick.
So,
too.
but I mean that's in most combat games. But the fun is when you get many of them at once. So you have to deal with all the things you got to do at one time. But there's also, yes, you can slow down the missiles, but you can also throw something and lightning the thing that you're gonna lightning grenade something. And there's always a combination of things to do, even when there is the one thing that you know is it's Achilles' heel.
Yeah.
And I enjoyed the platforming. I like the idea of using the force. I kind of wanted more of that. I wanted more of, you can use the force powers not just in combat,
To move
but in
shit up and
platforming. That could have been
down.
more open. It was a little bit on rails, that section.
It's not
but-
even that it was on rails. It's that the game, the engine is not suited to be a platform. You have that leap and the shoot forward, and it almost always. It was very difficult to judge where the shoot forward would land me. I didn't feel like a tight platformer, and it just was this arbitrary sequence at the end that used it.
I didn't have any problems with that, but bringing up that dash, the getting from just point A to point B sometimes, there was like long stretches, and I'm like, really? I'm just supposed to like hit dash? I look stupid. Like that's not
Yeah.
cool looking as
Yeah.
It's like you look like you're ice skating.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I want to
Anyway.
say a totally aside thing too. You told us a while ago you were down in Disneyland and you saw the Jedi thing.
School for
I was
kids.
just down in Disneyland if you go to Disneyland, the Jedi
it's fun.
school thing,
Yeah.
whatever it's called, is so worth
Padawan
it to see.
training.
It is.
Yeah.
I had chills watching it.
Oh, it's even better when your nephew is part of it.
I'm sure.
Yeah.
I'm sure.
Cool. So, sponsor.
I've always wanted to be a new breed of warrior,
You've said that a lot.
and now
Most of
I
the time
can.
at Mexican restaurants.
Yeah, it's really weird.
Medal of Honor is out, and you get to be a new
be
breed of
a
warrior.
breed of warrior.
Tier 1 operatives, which are like these elite, awesome,
Super special forces.
super special forces. This is a military shooter of the highest caliber. It's available now. You should check it out. It's on all the major consoles and PC. It's awesome. Check it out.
Amazing. It's out now.
Out now, available
before
now.
It was always like, it comes out in this.
That's how time works.
Yeah.
You get closer to that time, then you
good.
pass it. And it's great.
And then it's like, why did you say it was released in October? Blah blah blah.
yeah, it's out, man.
Amazing. Jinx. Jinx.com/TRS.
You wanna
get
wear the
swag.
shirt.
The shirt that I am constantly wearing, as I've been pointed out.
Also, if you are in the United States and you are
Yes.
18 or over, tomorrow, the 2nd of November, is Election Day. So
Time to
please go out and vote.
Yep.
Make your voice heard. It's worth it.
Pada ping. All right, we'll see you tomorrow. What?
Check out tomorrow's episode where we review the game Fallout New Vegas.
So this day in Rad, November 1st, 1988, actor Jeff Goldblum and actress Gina Davis wed in Las Vegas.
That'll last forever.
Well, it must. They're still married, right?
What's funny is most people watching the show, I feel like we have a younger audience.
They may never have known that they were married.
They don't even know these. They don't even know who Gina Davis is.
They think of Gina Davis with Rennie Harlan, right, Dan? Right?
You know,
But you're
Cutthroat
right,
Island.
dude. What has Gina Davis done lately?
Yeah,
I don't know,
Archery?
but she's cool.
yeah. She was Beetlejuice.
Accidental
is-
Tourist.
Yeah.
Great movie.
Yeah.
But didn't they meet on the set of something?
I don't know. I was trying to think. Oh, she's in The Fly?
I think she's in The
the-
Fly.
she's the
And don't
love
you
interest
think
in The
that
Fly.
those two sort of fit together in a weird
Little
way?
bit.
Like
Yeah.
they're both enormous.
That's why they got married. Amazing.